Welcome to the Real Life Buyer podcast. In this podcast, you will hear interviews with business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, and technical specialists in their field. These professionals will hasten your development, accelerate your career, and broaden your business know-how. Now, introducing your host, Dave Barr, interviewing with a purchasing twist.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Life Buyer. For many entrepreneurs and small to medium-sized businesses, the understanding and needs of marketing one's products and services can be pretty mind-boggling. When you couple this with the complexity of website SEO and the many social media platforms requiring different strategies and employing ever-changing algorithms, it's no surprise that overwhelm quickly sets in. So in this podcast, I have the pleasure of bringing a digital marketing expert and also an automation expert, Michelle Nedlick, onto the show. She will help you move your marketing to the next level. In addition, I'm also looking to explore the importance and appropriateness of email marketing. And Michelle is the co-founder of Awareness Strategies, Inc., based in Calgary, which was formed in October 2003. And she is also the host of the Business Ownership Podcast. Her company will, and I quote, help you find your ideal clients and turn them into highly profitable raving fans. So without further ado, I welcome Michelle onto the podcast. Hi, Michelle.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to this. So let's have a little reflection. You've built a pretty solid 19-year-old company now, which obviously helps businesses digitally market themselves, etc. So can you tell us a little bit about the company and what drew you into sales and marketing as your reason to be?
Absolutely. Well, what we were finding was that there was this draw towards the whole digital world. People were asking for digital content, videos, things like that, things that they could consume after hours. And it just made sense that we would deliver on those. So as we were doing that transition, we noticed that a lot of other businesses weren't having as much fun in the area of tech as we were, because my partner in business and pleasure, as we like to say, he had a background in tech. He's been in technology and computers and software development for 40 years now. So way before it was cool. And we decided to pivot and start helping businesses get online because it was things like having the right software to be able to convert to an MP3, to be able to, where do you put it? Do you have to put it on YouTube? YouTube takes your clients away. What kind of software do you have to put it on to be able to figure out how, and then how do you get it back onto your website and with the players and all that fun stuff? And it just, one thing after another becomes an issue for most entrepreneurs, whereas if they have somebody that they can just give that all to and go, okay, I did this video, can I drop it somewhere? Yep, here's a link. It'll ask you to drop it here, go drop it here, and we'll take care of it for you. Then it became a lot easier for them to be able to build their businesses out.
Okay. Is there any particular businesses that you particularly service more than others? Do you have any specialisms, or, is it broad and, have a broad breadth and depth of options?
Well, because of Brad's vast experience in the IT world, we can service a lot of different companies. So we've done a lot of work with speakers, authors, and experts in their industry, people with intellectual property that want to be able to get out and train. We've worked with a lot of professional organizations, whether they're lawyers or tradespeople, being able to get their practices and their small business out to the world, because it's been paramount for them as well. And because as a specialist in their industry, like IT is definitely not their magic spot either. And then it goes into kind of the foray of kind of other people see us and go, hey, can you help us too? And we'll take a look and see what's going on. And the answer becomes yes. And we're like, okay, yeah, this is, everybody needs digital marketing. Everybody needs to be able to get online, and they need to be able to get in front of their ideal client, wherever their ideal client is. And for the most part, entrepreneurs are they're masters of their own magic sauce, but they don't really have a clue where their clients hang out, what they do, they do it, or what they're looking for before they come across them.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And this is probably, a good lead into my next question, because obviously many people start new businesses. They create their lovely websites and obviously sit back expecting sales to kind of roll in. If only that was the case. It doesn't always work like that. So for new business owners who don't know how and where to start, what do you recommend as the sort of primary strategic steps in say the first 12 months of marketing the business, especially when they're bootstrapping on a tight budget. It is often the case for a new business.
Yeah. And oftentimes what we found is that a lot of entrepreneurs will go, I'm going to go into business because I need to make some money. So not really the best way to go in there, but yay, 90% of them are doing that. So you're not alone. And what we want to do is kind of back up the bus a little bit and go, okay, I get it. You need to make some money, but how do you see yourself doing that? What do you plan on doing to be able to do that? Obviously, a painter is going to say, well, I'm going to go paint some houses. I'm going to go paint some garages, whatever the case might be. Somebody that's in speaking is more likely to say, I want to get some coaching clients. I want to do some things. So we're going to look at their business and see what makes the most amount of sense. Because if they're truly starting and they have no list, they have no anything, odds are that they really need to get in front of some people and start practicing what their messaging is. They have to talk to actual people and get some of those clients in. So it really becomes, does it make more sense to go and network and just get some people on your phone list and start communicating with them, talking to them, who do you know, that kind of thing, because it tends to be one of the basics of getting a hold of people. Learning how to get onto Facebook and setting up a profile and doing that is just so far out of most of their realm that doesn't make sense as a thing. For millennials, totally makes sense because they're already, they already have 78 accounts on 78 different platforms and they don't care. And so that is their form of communication. So that ends up being one thing, but we still want to look at it, and we'll come back to them as to how they build out that business. Some other businesses they may not have a list, they may not have a following of people, but they have a plan in place. And they're looking at the next 12 months of, okay, I want to have live events. I want to have 3 of them a year. I want to be able to fill them through doing online challenges. I want to be able to do this. And when we can structure their next 12 months and kind of get an idea of what that might look like, then it allows us to be able to put into place some fundamental structures so that we at least know that they're building towards it and they're going to be able to pay it off at some point. So hopefully there's a little bit of, bumper cash in the bank to be able to forward this out. So even if in either case, basically what we want to do is to start bringing people in, start consuming some information, whether it's digitally, even if it's a painter, do they have a checklist of, 10 things to look for before hiring a painter? That one can be a pretty easy one because you're just looking at around in your industry and going, these are how people are getting scammed by other painters that come and go, the fly-by-nights. And how do you avoid a fly-by-night if you've never hired a painter before? And getting that valuable information out to your prospects then allows people to have conversations because it's a little eye-opening and they go, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So that when grandma asks for a painter, you're like, hey, I remember this little scam sheet. You got to figure out who these are and, don't hire these people. And odds are you're going to hire the person that gave you the sheet because they know and they're probably more trustworthy. So it's being able to kind of create that trust. Most of the time, we're looking at kind of the other area where they have a little bit of a cash bumper and they have a little bit of a plan. We're going to work with them. We're going to set these things up. And in that case, we want to make sure that they have a WordPress site. WordPress is particularly important because it allows you to have business email addresses and you can set up as many as you want. And that is hugely important, especially when it comes to email deliverability, when it comes to getting your customer service out, when it comes to just the notoriety of your business. You don't want to have a Hotmail account. You certainly don't want to have an AOL account. Nothing against them, but you don't want to have that as your business account on your business card. You want to have your name at your business URL. And then we recommend Infusionsoft, or what's now called Keep Max Classic, because it is such a robust piece of software that it allows for businesses to be able to grow and scale and to always have their clients concentric in their tech. So what that means is Infusionsoft or Max Classic is the base of it is your client's contact information. And then from there, you can send out emails, you can set up affiliate pages, you can do e-commerce, you can do a whole lot of things from there. And your clients are always at the centerpiece. So you can always find your clients and you can always retarget them and remarket them, which is hugely important. And most other software out there, most other CRMs other than Salesforce, which is kind of the next bigger one. If you have 100 employees, you're probably looking at Salesforce. It has the clients at the center as well. But those are really the only two that do And to us, it just doesn't make sense to put your business at risk just for whatever reason that you're making other decisions.
Cool. Is there kind of a magic formula, some must-haves you have to have in a website to give you that, the right pulling power, if you want to call it that, anything else, for people to go into your site and stay there rather than click in and click out? Is there a magic suite of things you should always consider?
Well, as far as keeping people on your website?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely want to have these things called opt-ins. And opt-ins are, like I said, that checklist, the spreadsheet. It could be videos. It could be the first chapter of your book. It could be a whole lot of things just to be able to give people samples of you and to give them an idea of who you are. Video is by far right now one of the biggest things that if people are intrigued, they'll stay around on your website and watch. They want to get a taste of who you are and what it's like working with you. So if you can offer them that, and in a way that leads them from whatever their question is, why they came to the website, to giving them answers that you have, kind of hang around us more and we'll have what you're looking for. Those kind of things become intriguing for people because really they don't want to waste their time just hanging around watching cat videos. They want to get the solutions to their problems. And if you can offer that to them, it works ideally. And again, that brings us back to the whole WordPress site, because you want to be able to then collect their names and emails and put that into your database so that you can retarget them, re-nurture them. You can basically build that relationship. It's like somebody knocked on your door and left you kind of a gift. You want to be able to go back and go, hey, that was really nice. Come on in, come see some other stuff, and let's see what you're really interested in. It's being able to take people from other platforms. So you don't really want people hanging out necessarily on your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your Instagram, although you may have 100,000 followers there. That's awesome. But Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn own those contacts. You don't. So you want to figure out a way to be able to bring them into your CRM so that you can then take care of them.
Yeah. You mentioned social media platforms, because obviously that's an expanding world. Perhaps Elon Musk will make another one soon, but exactly. Most people are at least on one, if not many platforms. And I understand, I've heard the recommendation that no matter how many platforms there are, register yourself on there. Even if you don't put content out there, just reserve your kind of brand name, because then nobody else can use it. So I'm assuming you would say that's a sensible thing to do to secure that for you.
I do have a TikTok account with one video on it talking about procrastination and how I don't want to put a video on there.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier on, and quite rightly, a lot of business owners, people new to social media, really a little bit confused about what these are for. There's so many different names, and we all think of, as you say, TikTok about dancing girls and the rest of it in the cat videos. But how does a business owner go about choosing the right platform for their type of business?
Awesome. Great question. And it really comes down to, where are your ideal clients hanging out? So especially initially, we really want to hone in all of your efforts onto that one particular client, where they are and what they're doing and what their issues are, why they're trying to get a hold of you, and what is their ideal journey through all of your products, or your ideal products, your most profitable products, so that you're honing in all of your attention and effort onto one thing. It's kind of like when Steve Jobs went and cleaned house and said, we're going to offer, this one thing and that's it. Everybody freaks out. But to have that many resources working on 40 different applications, it didn't make sense when you can hone them all in on one and make something that's awesome, epic, and gets you the returns that you're looking for. Now, there's some other background information on that one too, but we won't go there. But just from taking your resources and honing in on that one thing, then you're looking at, is your clientele, are they business? Are they, stay-at-home people that are kind of working and plugging into social media at the same time? Are they people who are just looking for entertainment to be able to zone out and not pay attention to anything? Which, believe it or not, is a clientele, right? I mean, if you sell, games and things, right? Yeah. You're trying to get their attention to go and play your game and go and hang out there for hours on end. So it just really depends on what it is that you're trying to sell and where they hang out. Most audiences aren't on all platforms, right? They will tend to spend the majority of their time on one, and they will tend to click through on ads and things on one of them, not all of them.
It's interesting you mentioned advertising, and that's a little bit of a minefield. I'm certainly struggling to get my head around how do you effectively advertise and get, good bang for your buck, so to speak. And they all obviously offer, and that's what they want, is advertising revenue. So how do you go about considering what is an appropriate advert? What should the length be? What should the content be? And how do you tweak it so it's actually effective, it actually gets the audience you're looking for?
Great questions. And before we even go into that, you want to make sure that the marketing that you're putting out is converting first. So what we recommend doing is marketing to your warm clients, marketing to your warm audience, people that are already following you, people that are already on your email list. You want to hone in on that message so that you're getting a high enough conversion there before you start going out and spending money on ads. The second thing you want to do before you go to ads is to actually market to a cooler client or a warm client. So if yours is hot, somebody else that knows you and likes you and trusts you and wants to promote for you, that would be a warm market. And that's kind of your affiliate marketing. When other people are willing to promote you to their audience because their audience needs the services that you have and it augments what they do really well, then that audience, that affiliate marketing is really what you want to do next so that you can make sure that your marketing is effective and that you're getting the right numbers. Because a lot of times people too will think that their marketing is ineffective, but they're not testing it out against high enough numbers. If you're sending it out to less than 100 people, you're not getting enough response to be able to decide whether or not that's good marketing or not. And that becomes a problem. So at some point you have to go out to other people and promote to their list and get those numbers higher so that you can start to tweak that. And oftentimes that'll require, making friends with centers of influencers who have the audience, because they're not going to do it based on, hey, I got this thing I think I might like to do. It's like, yeah, no, we're not going to risk our list for that. But somebody that knows you, likes you, and trusts you will go, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that for you. So it's kind of being able to understand that there are people out there that want to help promote you. There are people out there that want to offer their tribe your products and services because they don't fulfill on those things. But they want to be able to offer them those solutions. And then once you get that message honed in, then you can start looking at ads and cold traffic, because then you have an idea of what works. Going through that entire process with cold traffic will waste more money than you can possibly imagine, and it's an endless burn. So no, I wouldn't recommend it at all.
Yeah, that's a very difficult one, particularly when you talk about budgets, because we think, I'll boost one of my one of your little adverts or something like that for a £5 or 10 quid or whatever the case may be, and you might get 1,000 impressions. Was that a good a spend of your money? It's very difficult to kind of gauge. Boosting, people say don't touch boosting, it's absolute waste of money. But if you've never had advice on advertising properly before, you're kind of tempted, aren't you?
Right. Well, and it depends kind of where you're at and what you want to have, because sometimes getting another 1,000 impressions, it might actually get you a click through and it might actually get you something. The problem with it is that it's kind of hope and a prayer marketing. Yeah. And if you have the $10 to $20 to spend and lose and still be okay with it, then okay, fine. There's not a whole lot you can do with $20 to be able to get it other way. But I do think that you'd be better off calling 20 of your friends and going, hey, do you see this post? Can you like and share it for me? Right. You'd be better off doing that.
More effective. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so let's pretend, let's hope everything's going swimmingly and your marketing is resulting in a groundswell of interest. People are reaching out, you've got some contacts. But what you end up with then is a bunch of data. And I think this is where the Infusionsoft may come in. But so you have information start to come in. And so I've thought about 3 questions. So the first thing for me was, how does the business owner go about gathering that data and email address? And you've touched on that about the giveaways, but perhaps there's some more. So we'll ask that one. Secondly, how do you consolidate it? People like me tend to think of Excel spreadsheets. Now, you've mentioned CRM software. And then thirdly, what they do with the data when they've got it, how they make best effect of that information. So can you just walk us through those 3 questions?
Absolutely. So gathering people's information, there is a ton of ways that you can do it now. And some of them are a lot of fun. Some of them you may rather poke your hand out with a fork rather than type it on a computer. It's totally up to you what you get involved with and how you get involved with it and what works for you. And sometimes it might really work well for your industry. You just don't want to do it. That's okay. That's when you get somebody to help you to come in and facilitate it. But there are ways, like I said, with the opt-ins, you can send out a post onto your LinkedIn or your Facebook and go, hey, I have this checklist. You might be interested in, come check it out. Send them to the website. They look at it on the website and go, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll give you my name and email. That when they hit submit, that you want that to go into your CRM. Could you put it into a spreadsheet? Sure, why not? You can do that nicely with about 50 or 100 people. As soon as you start getting 500 of them, they start getting a little cumbersome. And that's when you want to be able to have a system to be able to put them in. Let's assume for giggles that you're putting it into Infusionsoft. So great. They go in there and they get tagged with, they opted in for this checklist. The other things you can do is you can join giveaways. So there are a lot of things on every single possible concern that you might have right now. There are giveaways and summits. Summits are another one. They're a little different. I'll explain the difference, but they're on every single topic. So you can have them on business, on going digital. You can have them on horse riding. You can have them on underwater basket weaving. There is a giveaway in the summit for everything. And they have your audience. I guarantee you just got to find them. Some of them are free. Some of them charge to play. Totally depends. Some of them, they expect you to have a certain size list and send out for them as well. Some of them, they don't care. Come on in, let's go play and see what happens. So regardless of where you're at, there are giveaways and summits that will serve your purpose. With those, you want to have a giveaway, obviously. Want to have something that they can go, hey, I'm interested in finding out more. What do you have? And usually in a giveaway, it's something a little bit more than a checklist. It's usually a module of a course or a little mini course of some sort that will teach them something about whatever it is that you do. And it allows them to gain more understanding of who you are and what you do. And those are usually offered for free because they've paid to participate in the summit or they've paid to participate in the giveaway. And then those gifts, again, are going out. Their name and email is going into your database, and they're getting tagged with, they came in through this methodology. Now, once you have people in your list, you want to be able to say, hey, thanks for signing up for our mini course. It's fantastic. You're going to love it. And depending on your system with Infusionsoft, you can allow them to go through that mini course if it's 6 weeks, whatever it is. And then at the end of that, hey, super glad that you finished the course and you might be interested in this. Or if you like this, you're going to love our full course on whatever. And then you try and upsell them to the next part of the program, because obviously if they consumed the entire mini course, they were interested in it, it worked for them, and they're probably likely going to buy into your next program because that content interests them. So that's how you want to kind of build that relationship. And once somebody is in your CRM, you want to be able to then get them into either your newsletters, if that's what you have, or a monthly kind of information, some sort of campaign to be able to nurture that relationship with them and have you understand or have them understand more about what you do and how you do it, so that they get a more robust idea of what the options are that they can do with you. And that's, if you're a plumber, a vet, anything, it really doesn't matter what it is, they're going to want some more information about kind of the benefits that they get from working with you. And that's how you can then nurture that relationship into, not only are they consuming all of your content or your programs and what you have, but then they also become, hey, you've bought all of our stuff. This is fantastic. We have a new program coming up. Would you be interested in sharing it with your family and friends? They sign up as affiliates and now they're promoting you to their family and friends because they liked your services so much.
Yeah. I've noticed there seems to be a kind of trend now where some of these people also ask for mobile phone numbers. Interested to know what you think of that. Do you think that's a little bit too intrusive? Does that put people off? It certainly puts me off, as an example.
It all depends on how you do it, and anything can be a turnoff depending on how you do it. So if you do it right, it's not. So for example, if somebody signs up for a webinar or a masterclass that you're having, would you like a text reminder for this? If they say yes, great. What's your text? Great. Here it is. And then that gives them, they get the reminder. If they're the kind of people that are on their cell phones more than they are in email or whatever in that moment, all of a sudden their phone goes off. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be in this class. Okay, I got to go. It's a service to them, and it's about bonus to you. So in that case, it's done right.
Right.
When it's done wrong is I need your first name, your last name, your email address, your phone number, and they're all required. And you're not going to get this opt-in if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's just done wrong. And you're like, no, forget it. You're just getting way too evasive now.
Yeah.
And which is kind of funny because you may have really good content that I may really want. I just don't like the way you approached it. So there is a fine balance in there of what are you giving somebody and why do you need so much information from them, and be careful of that, because a reminder is fantastic to get. And then once they're in the master class, it's like, hey, and if you're interested, text get my book free to 123. So then now I'm texting, I'm asking you for that content. Now it becomes an even a more intricate relationship that I actually do want the information that you're giving me, and I actually do want you to text me. And some people like getting a ton of info on their text on their phones. They like getting books and things put straight to their phone. I'm not of that mindset. I like everything on my desktop, so I prefer to get it sent to my email. But that's just me. I prefer not to get texts to my phone unless you're my mother or there's another emergency. I don't want anybody texting me, so I'm the kind of person that'll unsubscribe from that, but I'll stay on the email address or on the email list because that's where I want to get the content.
Right.
And you just got to kind of give your clients the right to decide where they want to get their content.
Is there a kind of sweet spot with respect to emails? For example, with some people you subscribe to, you may get an email a week, which is great. Others, you seem to get an email at least daily, if not, far more frequently. Anything, my goodness, I'm getting overwhelmed with email after email. What do you think is a good balance for email communications?
I think it totally depends on who your audience is and why they're following you. So we were teasing on another podcast about Russell Brunson, and he sends almost every hour. And we stay on his email list, right? Because we want to know kind of not only what he's doing, what he's up to, we want to know how he says it. We want to know what intrigues us about that email. And we want to be able to take that email and then use it to intrigue our people. So it totally depends on who you are, what you're doing, and what the end game is, right? Russell doesn't care if you unsubscribe from his list. He's got God knows how
Gazillions.
many. Exactly. And they're all there to consume everything that he has to offer because they want to be just like him. Then you get somebody else that maybe sells houses. And you're like, well, I don't really need an email every 3 hours from my realtor. And that's okay. That's totally cool. But you still want to be able to stay kind of present to them and give them valuable content. Yeah. And maybe, once a month is appropriate, or maybe there's more stuff happening in the industry that you're going, hey, you might be interested in this, that, and the other thing. Or I got this zany stuff over here because, we're selling so many houses that I just decided to start a ticker tape. You might be interested in watching my ticker tape. Some people do. You just go, okay, that's awesome. So it totally depends on, to me, one, your personality. How much do you want to get engaged with your clientele? Two, what is their personality and how much they want to be engaged with you? And then finding that sweet spot. And with software like Infusionsoft, you can always tell every email you put out, how many open, how many click through, how many unsubscribe. So you're going, okay, that email, we're not doing that one again. This email worked awesome. We'll do more of these ones. And it is a learning curve, and that's okay. And just understand that if you're not comfortable, just because you're not comfortable putting out email doesn't mean that your clientele doesn't necessarily want email from you. So you got to be careful of that too, is that you are not your ideal client. You want to sell to your ideal client, not to you, right? And just because you're bored of the things that you're putting out doesn't mean that they are, right? And you've said it 27 times, but if they're brand new, they haven't heard it before, you want to make sure that you're still getting that content out to them. So making sure that you have the right campaigns in the right order so that they can consume you at the rate that they're comfortable doing so, as opposed to changing those up all the time and just sending them the hottest thing that you happen to be interested in.
Yeah. Let's dive a little bit more into CRM. There's probably a wealth of people who don't know what a CRM system is and what it can do. It's all about, I guess, automating things for you, making your life easier, becoming more efficient. Can you just explain some headlines of the best aspects of having a CRM?
Yeah. So if you think of a CRM or a client relationship management system as a piece of software that contains all of your prospects and your clients' contact information. And it can be as simple as a spreadsheet. It can be as simple as the contact list on your cell phone. The issue with, obviously, the contact list on your cell phone is it only contains so much information, and it's storing it. And that's all it's really doing. From a real CRM, what you want it to be able to do is then to communicate certain things with you and to be able to organize that data. So like a spreadsheet is, you can organize it according to date of, when they signed up. You can organize it according to their birth date, their anniversary, whatever data you happen to have on these people, you can sort it accordingly. And you want to be able to have a more robust system in order to be able to, and the fun word of late is to hyper-personalize your messaging to people.
I've not heard that one.
Big word that really means the stuff that we've been doing all along. And it's being able to identify that you, David, might have certain interests that I don't have, and I might have interests that you don't have, but we're still on the same list. So how do you get me the information that I want and get you the information that you want? So for example, I may have only ever opted into a bunch of things, whereas you might be an active purchasing client. The messages that we both get should be quite different. It's like, hey, we have this thing and you might be interested in it, Michelle. Whereas you already know, you've already bought it. You don't want that kind of messaging. You want what's the newest, the latest, the greatest, what's up and coming. And being able to have a more robust CRM that allows you to be able to segregate your data into, cat people or dog people if you're a veterinarian clinic, or, if you're an arborist, are you doing the landscaping? Are you doing the trees? What are you doing for them? And how do you create messages that allow you to say, hey, in addition to cutting trees, we also do gardening for you, or we also do landscaping for you, and being able to get those different messages to people based on where they're at in the buying line.
Yeah, you'll see, it means quite a lot of work for the business owner to prepare, but once it's prepared, you can reuse it over and over again. Every time a new person comes in, then that information, that email, suite of emails, shall we say, is ready to start through their process of sending out, basically.
Exactly. Well, and if you think of, if you've ever been to a vet and, they have the whole sheet of questions that you need to answer, like they got a ton of information on you, and it just doesn't make sense to not use that information. Whereas somebody else, like a coach or a speaker, if they just give you an opt-in, all you have is their name and email address. You don't really know a whole lot about them at that point. So you have to start gathering information based on where they're clicking and what their activities they're doing electronically with you. But if you're the kind of business that has those intakes, you're in a phenomenal position to be able to hone in and target in on the messages. And if you set those up appropriately on the get-go, then it makes not only your customer services jobs a lot easier, it can make your sales people's jobs a lot easier as well. Because one of the other components that a good CRM like Infusionsoft has is the sales funnel. So it's being able to identify, yes, we've met this person, but we haven't, they haven't interacted with us. I met them for coffee and they were interested. We had a follow-up meeting and they were interested in blah. Right. And then you can take them up so that you can start automating, what emails need to go out, what reminders need to go out to your salespeople to connect with them. And if it comes up to even getting contracts, this contract's been sent out, but it hasn't been signed yet, connect with them and find out what's going on. And we've received this contract, but where you're at in that relationship without necessarily having someone checking the boxes and ticking all the places, because it happens electronically. A lot of that information is happening directly.
Yeah. So before I ask the last question, then you have a wealth of information, probably not on TikTok, but
not on TikTok. Sorry,
a lot of information to share. So where's the best places for people to find all out about you and absorb some of your content?
Thanks. If you go to awarenessstrategies.com, we are always putting out more surveys and assessments and audits, fun things like that, so that you can look at different aspects of your business, whether it's your tech stacks or your branding or even a product brand, and being able to look at, okay, am I on track? Did I miss a step? This isn't working as well as I wanted to. What do I need to have in place in order to make that work? There's all sorts of fun goodies there. We have the website audit, which I particularly like. And all you have to do is put in your website there and it shoots back a 40 to 60 page report, depending on the size of your website, of all the green lights, yellow lights, and red lights as far as Google particularly is concerned. And it's when it starts, if it gives you red lights, it's stopping your traffic from hitting your site, and you won't even know that. So there's things you want to change on that. Yellow lights, it'll slow it down the traffic because it's not giving people what they think they're going to get when they get to that page. And green light means, yeah, you're good to go. Anybody that's searching for that can find it. And you want as many of those green lights as possible, obviously.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. I think I might use that myself. So one last question then. We've talked a lot about CRM. There are a number of systems out there. Again,
Absolutely.
People who are new to this, what's the sort of questions they should be asking? What sort of budget should they be thinking of when they're going to choose such a system?
Nice. Great question. And one thing is, the advice I have when you're picking your systems is to ask more questions than you're paying money at first. So a lot of people will pay for things and then they'll realize, oh, that doesn't really do what I wanted it to do. And that becomes a really expensive habit. So ask way more questions initially until you are satiated that this is the right thing for you and that you think you know why. That is the utmost importance. You want to be asking things like, is it client concentric or is it funnel concentric? Now there's ones out there like ClickFunnels that aren't, that they're funnel concentric. It's still a really good program. But your business is based on transactions, not on nurturing that relationship. And that's just, you need to know that. Other questions you want to be asking is, where's the data? Who owns it? Because a lot of the systems, especially when you're buying SaaS, is you don't own that data. And that's not good because they take your account and shut it down. And you do not want
just
that.
Just like Facebook then.
Right, exactly. If it's free, you do not own your data, and that's not good either. A lot of the ones that I find right now are kind of the bane of my existence are software in development. And it will do that, but it doesn't right now. You don't have the wherewithal to spend money to build their business, putting your business on hold. You need to put your business first and foremost and let them do what they do. So do not let yourself become somebody else's experiment.
Sort of beta tester kind of thing.
Yeah, don't do that. So, and especially if you get like a lifetime access and it's only, $200 and you'll have lifetime access to it. Yeah, but it doesn't do anything and you just wasted $200 on their developers. So I'm not a fan of that. In fact, that hugely ticks me off. Hugely ticks me off because now you have lifetime access to something that is completely useless for you.
Yeah. That's some really good advice there. I think that's going to be quite helpful for people to have a look at. And certainly the website audit that you mentioned, what a great tool. And it's a free tool as well. So I'm not sure if I want to print 40 to 60 pages, but I guess
you get a digital first.
Thank goodness for that.
Absolutely.
Well, that's brilliant. No, so that's really interesting stuff there. Thank you very much for sharing a lot of information and wisdom. Do appreciate that. And obviously want to wish you all the best for your rest of your day.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being here. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me.
Great. Thanks very much, Michelle. So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.